Welcome to another edition of the Lajes Cockpit, where we give you a bird's eye view of what the men and women of Lajes Field have been up to. My name is Ricky Baptista, and I'm Chief of Public Affairs for the 65th Air Base Group. So buckle up and get ready for takeoff. In the cockpit today, we are honored to have the 65th Air Base Group Commander, Colonel William Braveheart Wallis, and the 65th Air Base Group Deputy Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Donovan Cirino. Gentlemen, thank you for taking time out of your schedule and joining us in the cockpit today.
Well, thanks, Ricky. I'm excited for the opportunity to talk about the 6.5 and our airmen.
Yeah, thanks, Ricky. We appreciate this opportunity.
Colonel Wallis, so you took command of the 65th in July of this year. You hit the ground running, lots of things going on. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, and what can the men and women of the 65th expect from the new commander?
All right, that's the easy one first. So I grew up in a strong and supportive military family on both sides. Both my mom and dad had members in the military. And then my support network, my wife Jill and my son Derek, are very supportive. They've been along with me all along the way. And I try to support them in all the things that they like to do as well, so it's not just one-sided. Before I was in the Air Force, I spent a lot of time with my dad in the tower as an air traffic controller, and my grandfather and around airplanes, and I knew that I wanted to fly. That's what I wanted to do no matter how I had to get there. So my background is as a C-130 navigator, and I spent most of my time in combat operations with mobility, special operations, but it helped before I got picked for this job to spend a lot of time with Joint Coalition. I think the reason, when I talked to General Olson, I said, why me? Why did I get hired? And he said, you bring that operator mindset, looking at every part of the mission and figuring out how do we get it done and how do we move forward, not just on the U.S. side, but with our partners as well. I'm used to working with a lot of foreign governments deployed to places like Oman, where we go, how do we do the mission we do and make sure that we're working in partner with our partners.
So the first part is, you're right at home in the cockpit.
Yes,
this is perfect for you.
Exactly. I want to move my office in here. This is pretty cool, but I would get distracted by all the cool stuff in here.
The experience you bring is wonderful for Lajes Airmen, both our active duty members and local nationals, to be able to pick your brain and understand what it's like for these combat operations that you talked about, and how we fit into the national defense strategy and what our overall mission is. And so that's great that you can bring that experience to us.
Exactly, and you can expect. You said, what can an airman expect? As a group commander, I was a squadron commander, and that's fun. As a group commander and a group leadership team, our job is to make sure that airmen have what they need to do the job. So I'm going to be a strong and passionate advocate and try to do the things that we can do to make sure our airmen can execute and they can focus on taking care of themselves and their teammates. And we can make sure that we can get out of the way when we need to, most of the time, to do their job.
That's wonderful to hear. Colonel Cirino, this is your second time at Lajes Field. So it's always wonderful to see Lajes graduates come back. One, it's always to see them, great to see them be successful throughout their career, because when you were first here, you were just the lieutenant, just the LT. Now you're a lieutenant colonel, and it's great to think that some of that experience came from here at Lajes Field, maybe some of the operations that you did here. Can you tell us a little bit about what your time was like during, what you did during your time here, and a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I appreciate that. So you're right. I'm a retread, and it's very interesting to be back. Like you said, it was 18 years ago. So while a lot has changed, both for me personally and also things on the ground here, it was a very unique experience to have the opportunity to come back. It was a surprise to me. I'm sure as military careers go and as people progress and go places, they think and look back to what they did, but I think very infrequently people actually get to come back. So when I found that I was getting to come back, I was excited for the experience. And when I was here before, I was in the communications squadron, and you're right, 18 years ago I was just a lieutenant, and I had a much more narrow focus of what was going on at Lajes Field. And let me just say, within the first couple of weeks of getting back, my aperture has been expanded a great deal to be at the group level. Like I said, I was in the communication squadron, so I'm a comm officer with cyber experience by trade. And yeah, getting to be the Deputy Group Commander and work with Colonel Wallis and the leadership team is a tremendous honor. And one of the things that many of the folks know, because it's a remote assignment and being separated from my family, that's been a bit of a challenge, different than it was from before, because I was a single guy, you know, doing my own thing. And so now, you know, talking with Mina and the boys and keeping in touch with them, I appreciate the challenges that folks have, you know, with families and at this level, but just thrilled to be here.
Well, Colonel, your cyber background helps. Obviously, it's one of our primary missions here, and understanding the communications aspect, I think, is going to be beneficial for our airmen, again, active duty and local nationals, that you can bring in that experience and help us get the mission done. I think is wonderful and absolutely fundamental in how we get our mission. Colonel, as I mentioned before, you took command, you hit the ground running. We have the 65th Air Base Group has 2 geographically separated units here at Lajes Field and the other one at Morón Air Base in Spain. You spent some time there. You've had your immersions here with all the units under the 65th Air Base Group. You've had a chance to see what we do. Can you explain, in your vision, what you see the Team 65 does, why it's so important, and how we incorporate into the overall U.S. Air Force mission?
Absolutely. This is the fun part of the job. I love talking about what we do and what the mission is. The biggest thing that we do is we run 2 large locations. So when we have squadrons and groups that run the entire air base at both Morón and Lajes, that is a lot of work, and there's a lot of airmen of all kinds that get involved in that. And as we talked about, all the global communications capabilities that we have here at Lajes and Morón. So that's the 2 big key ones. Running those are not easy, and especially with a small and light and lethal team. The second thing, which I think is probably the coolest, one of the cooler parts of this mission, is supporting our partner nations. On the Portuguese side, we support search and rescue missions, which is, you know, you're saving lives and moving people to hospitals. That's very important. On the Spanish side, they have Eurofighters and they have anti-submarine warfare. So a lot of unique mission sets that we get to be a part of and we get to support. And our partners love us and they rely on us every day. They say, if we didn't have you, we couldn't do our mission. So we have that relationship, which is great. And then the power projection of all the forces that come through Morón and Lajes. No matter what the mission is, no matter who the commander is, they come through. We open our doors. We always say, this is our house. You're welcome here. We want to make sure you can get your mission done. And then we want them to come back. We don't want somebody to say, wow, I'm never going through that base again. We want them to come in and say, wow, I love this place. I want to keep coming back. Why we do it, we're directly supporting at least our immediate theater's European Command and their objectives, but everybody that passes through these bases is on their way to or from something. So whether it's AFRICOM, CENTCOM, every global combatant command, we're supporting partner objectives and the overall national, as you said, the national objectives of what our U.S. government wants us to do. The why is very important to us. We're deterring Russian aggression. We're protecting our house. We're protecting our families, whether it's in the U.S. or here, making sure we're keeping NATO secure and safe, and making sure our allies know that they can rely on us. Lajes and Morón are both key strategic bases to make that happen. And I think it's good for the commanders to know and have that in their mind that both of these bases have a dual partner set at each base that they're going to rely on, and it's ready at any time.
That's one of the benefits we've usually said as the 65th Air Base Group Commander. You run 2 of the largest flight lines, runways in all of Europe. And that's kind of a cool point to realize, in the amount of aircraft and air power that flies through both of these locations. The fuel capacity is something that is highly important and understanding fundamental to the overall Air Force mission and air power throughout. And so it's great to hear that those are the impacts we're having. The relationships we have with our partners, fundamental in making sure that we get our mission done, and it's always been one of General Harigian's and our Commander Yousefi AF Africa forces, working with our allies and our partners and understanding, because we have shared values, and that's fundamental in making sure that we work together.
Yep. And it was great to be on both sets. I've been on both ramps now, so we're going to go later to visit Morón so that Chief Peace and Colonel Cirino can go as well. But it was great to be able to see from both aspects and see what goes on at Morón and Lajes and go, okay, we are very busy, but it's exciting that we are running every part of this, and we're like, okay, cool. In concert with our partner nation, because we know that we're guests here, but it's good to have those relationships with them, and they say, we love you guys here, we rely on you guys, and we're just glad that we have very easy partners to deal with on both the Spanish and the Portuguese side.
In understanding, this group has 2 installation commanders. You are an installation commander for the 65th Air Base Group at Lajes Field, and we have an installation commander, the 496th Air Base Squadron Commander is also the installation commander for Morone Air Base, and those are responsibilities that are not taken lightly. Colonel Cirino, I loved your response concerning the understanding how some of the challenges are for our families. Can you talk to us a little bit about, from your experience or from your vision, from your level, what would be some benefits for our airmen, what our airmen can do to be successful while they're here at Lajes or at Morone, understanding the challenges they have, being a remote location and not having the family there to accompany them. What words of wisdom do you have for our team?
Sure. Those are really, really key and important things because it links the professional with the personal. And one of the things that, and specifically here for Lajes, that I recognize immediately upon coming back, that it's not lost on anyone that our footprint is much smaller than it's been, but that our mission largely remains the same. And so everyone from our level all the way down to the lowest oftentimes can feel that pinch. They really can. And we have visited so many work centers where people, they just acknowledge, hey, I'm a 1D position, or I'm and when I go on leave or I go out, it's not like in many garrison places where there's many people to help pick that slack up. So our words of advice in a practical sense, both here at Lajes Field and in Morone, is that to articulate the challenges that airmen, and I mean the big A airmen, the local nationals, and the whole team, is that when they are feeling a particular crunch on an issue, is to socialize those things, to talk about them, to elevate them, and say, hey, here's the things where I'm having the struggles with, and bring that to your supervisor, to your leadership, and then try to bring some ideas and solutions the best way you know how, and some of that out-of-the-box thinking to try to find ways for us to get after those struggles and challenges we're having, because we're working with the resources that we have, and that's across the enterprise. And so I would say that for those issues that folks are having day to day, don't be afraid to just to talk about them, because at the levels 1 and 2 above, they can see it but necessarily don't have their finger on the pulse, and until it's talked about or in specific terms to try to get after, and not to be afraid to say, hey, it's all on me to do that. And then the other thing I would say is that coming back from being a single airman all by myself and responsible only to myself, being away from your family for a year-long remote, and in some cases for folks who have extended for that second year, that's tough. Like it doesn't matter what level you're at, that's difficult. And so I would say we're very fortunate to have the technologies to be able to stay in touch. And I would just say, for the folks who are in that situation, and even if you are here by yourself, make use of those things. And, the first sergeant does a great job in the Right Start of saying, do right by your family and make sure you're checking in with your mom and your dad and staying in touch with those folks, because it goes both ways, where they're supporting you and we're staying in touch and supporting them. So yeah, just try to keep those connections.
I'm not surprised that a comm officer talks about communication as being the most important aspect of relationships, and so that's wonderful to hear, because you advocate what you practice, and so it's good in understanding that communication has to happen, and it's not letters that we used to write now. We have our video teleconferencing, and so we can talk to our loved ones across the globe, and that's very important in making sure that we're fundamentally sound. We had here the chaplain in the cockpit a few weeks ago, and he talked about that also. So it's great to see that the 65th Air Base Group leadership understands the challenges, knows how to address them, and is willing to help our airmen. Colonel Wallis, so we touched a little bit on it. General Harigian's main themes throughout the command are readiness, posture, and partnerships. And would you mind talking a little bit how the 65th falls into those major themes and the type of impacts that we have across the command and across the AORs that we affect?
Absolutely. I think the good thing is that General Reagan's themes, it directly focuses our efforts. So it make no mistake, it's very easy to follow in line and figure out how we can address all three of those. Readiness is a huge deal in the 65th. Not just our readiness, our partners' readiness, and all of the folks that come through here. They're either doing exercises, they're training, they're trying to sharpen those skills, or they're executing real-world missions to display the readiness they have. And so we have a direct tie, and not just ours, but everybody else's that we affect. The posture affects our operations probably the most here, because if the posture is static, then we maintain, we sustain the mission. If the posture has to change, then we get busy, because you surge, you flex, you move forces in and out, you move forces around. We could go from having 1 or 2 crews here to having 10 crews, 15 crews, and all of a sudden the base population triples. And so we take pride in being able to do all of those things, whether it's sustaining the mission or getting ready for, here comes everybody, now what do we do? Are we ready for that? So, and doing that day to day. The partnerships, as we covered, that is the, if you, this is crucial in the 6.5. If you can't do partnerships here, it's a fail. It's an absolute fail, all capital letters. So if we tell everyone when they come in and said, you're going to learn how to work with partners, and you're going to learn how to do this, not just with airmen, like you said, but that has to happen here. Otherwise our mission fails. It's not just learning about, some people go, well, I'll learn the Spanish or Portuguese capabilities. Like, that's a good start. But then we work side by side with the Spanish and Portuguese, shoulder to shoulder, to where our mission set, you shouldn't tell a difference between, oh, that's an American and this is a Spanish or Portuguese. I mean, we should look exactly the same. I'm really proud that we don't operate independently or in parallel. Most of our mission sets, we operate side by side. Like we have at Morone, we have a bilingual tower, and our airmen and the Spanish airmen and our American airmen, they sit side by side. They both control the same aircraft. They speak both languages, and it is very fluid. It's amazing to watch. Our tower here at Lajes, the same thing. We don't do a bilingual tower, but they both know how to control the types of aircraft. It's not like, hey, you do this one and I'll do this one. Everybody knows how to work together, and they're trained to the same standard. It's awesome. Security forces, we do joint patrols. Whenever you see a truck go by, you see one American and one host nation. I mean, it's awesome. Just all of those mission sets, and especially even working with outside agencies, like we did a simulated aircraft response exercise. There's Americans, there's Portuguese, there's the local fire department, police, and everybody worked together as a team, and I'm glad that we're able to continue to exercise those things and get better at them.
So one of the terms that comes to mind is this interoperability with so many different organizations that have different rules, different regulations. We're talking about different laws, again, host nation laws. And so being able to put that all together is a success, because it's a day in, day out process. And understanding the Lajes Field flight line also controls military aircraft and civilian aircraft. And you have here military members who are controlling the airspace, both Portuguese and US airmen. And it's wonderful to see that type of relationship throughout. One of the things that we have talked about in the past is how the 65th Air Base Group really is the tip of the spear when it comes to these themes, these command themes of readiness, and you explain that, posture, and partnerships. And we really are a prime example of what General Reagan is talking about and what the command needs. Colonel Cirino, can you talk to us a little bit about what you would consider the primary focus areas for our mission, for our team, and for our members here?
So, the Colonel did a great job when he was answering the questions on where our priorities are, and it just, dovetails back into that. And, it's focusing on, within your individual work center and the position that you have is, I would say that being the very best at what you were doing when you hit the ground, getting turnover if you're lucky from the person that you follow in with, learning about what you do specifically and how we do it here at Lajes, and then becoming, regardless of what level you're at, just an expert in the area that you're responsible in, and finding out there's nuances here that come with some of the having local nationals in the work centers, and not so much language barriers because folks speak such great English here, but just learning some of the idiosyncrasies that are unique to Lajes and same at Morone, and finding out as much as you possibly can about what affects your workspace and your work center, and then being able to translate that and articulate that to each one of the areas where you interface, both to the left and the right and above and below. Being able to do that as quickly as you possibly can and as well as you possibly can helps our teams get together and work quickly, because it's not lost on anybody who's, especially here at Lajes, because we're 1 year, it goes by fast. I mean, I'm dumbfounded that we've already been here as long as we have. The time goes by quickly. So being able to immerse yourself in where you're working and learning those things, because we don't have that long lead time like where you would in another garrison, home-based situation. So you get up to speed as fast as you can, and then just lean on your teammates and leverage those same experiences they have, and ask for help. Like, don't be afraid to ask for help. There's, we do a fantastic job of it here, where when you show up, we take care of each other when we're out and about, but when you're here, there's something unique about, maybe it's just the overseas things, where the connection is that people are willing to lend a hand for everything from picking somebody up, giving them a ride, making sure they can get where they go. But when you first are getting here, feel okay with raising your hand and saying, I don't understand how to do this thing, both in your personal space and your workspace, because that'll help get the whole team moving forward faster.
One of the things I heard from what you said is, we don't have a lot of fluff here. So when you get here, you really need to focus, get the information you need either from your predecessor or from a colleague that's there. Be professional, understand that the mission relies on you.
Yes.
The mission relies on you and understanding, because we don't have this access resources. We have what we need, and we need to make sure that we're efficient with it and that we're proficient in being able to get the mission done. So regardless of the position you're in, the hierarchy, it doesn't matter. Everybody is a part of this mission. It can only get done when everybody's doing the same and that responsibility. That's wonderful to hear. Gentlemen, I don't have any other questions today. Is there anything else you would like to share with Team 6-5?
I would like to say that I'm thrilled to be here. I think this is probably I couldn't ask for a better command with the unique mission sets. And when we say big airmen, you have military, civilians, local nationals, contractors. We have an amazing team of highly skilled airmen. And it's fun to just go around and talk to people and see them execute their mission every day. I'm excited to see what we can do and make adjustments. And as Colonel Cirino said, we've already hit the ground running and been here a couple months. Like, okay, we need to make our adjustments, figure out what we need to steer, how are we going to go forward, and then put that in motion to keep doing the mission. So thanks for having us. I've watched every one of these on the Lajes channel. I was like, I was excited to be able to actually come in the cockpit and do this. So thanks.
Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful, Colonel.
Same. What a unique experience. Like, I'm really thrilled to be able to do this, and thanks for having us. I've heard people say it, and sometimes it sounds trite when someone will say, "Oh, I have the best job in the Air Force or wherever." But I'm not going to lie. Like, the Deputy Group Commander position, like, it is the best kept secret, because it is a fantastic job. It helps having a great boss and having a great team, but just being able to be at the level where you're able to be involved in and immersed in all these different things. And I mean, I had it good when I was here before, but at the job I've got now, being able to interface with the squadrons, is fantastic. Like, I'm really just enjoying myself, and then professionally just having a great time.
We're really excited to be able to do stuff, not just work too, because it was nice to be able to, now that we can go out and about more and go see what we can do in Spain and mainland Portugal and the Azores. So we're excited. There is things in addition to work. So I'm getting excited about being able to do that more.
And we are excited about showing you our island. The local nationals are proud of it. I know that the Spanish are also proud of what they have, and so the Portuguese are here. So to all of our U.S. airmen, please take advantage of the long-standing relationship that we've had, and enjoy what the island and what Morone has to offer. Our host nations are proud of that. So thank you again for joining us, taking time out of your schedule. I know that with everything going on here, it's not easy to get you in the cockpit, but thank you very much for taking time.
No problem. I will always make time to leave the office to be in the cockpit. Thanks, Ricky.
Well, that's our episode for today. Hopefully you enjoyed your flight, and stay tuned for the next one. Take care.